This is Data Test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of Phatts TV, sanctioned by PA Facts to the 1998 moving sun. Any and all words have been authorized during the show. There are nothing off limits. Nobody is restricted from watching or participating in the show. It is a free for all. Commencing at the start, any and all discussions will be legal for an extended period of time. Sports, politics, and any and all controversial topics will be talked about. You have been warned. May God be with us all.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Phatts TV, this special Thursday night edition. Our new set, sorta, kinda. I'm in the worldwide Phatts studio, and the non-genetically proven son is in our secure underground bunker. Because Lord knows he's on a college campus filled with progressives right now.
You're right.
So,
and with crappy internet.
so he's protected in a secure bunker.
That's right. With LEDs and a scarf and
So, how's college life treating you there? Since we don't like every time we talk, it's like, what are you doing? Or what did you do today? And it's like, oh, I golfed.
yeah.
It's like you're spending $10,000 to golf.
No, I spent $300.
Well, no, I'm talking about with tuition.
Oh,
It's,
yeah.
you know,
I'm on Zoom for that at the moment.
yeah, it's like your tuition is really on the golf course.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah?
I've been golfing. That's the one thing I could do without wearing a mask.
Pretty much.
Do that.
Pretty much.
Meet a lot of different people because you always get paired up with probably 2 or 3 other people. So you meet a lot of different people.
Well, that's good.
I only got mad once when it took us 5.5 hours to play around.
That's not good.
No, I was not thrilled. Especially when I got like a 9 on the last hole. 440-yard something par 5.
I get it. So, guess what I heard might be coming to the town that you're in within the next couple of years. I don't know if it'll be there, by the time you graduate. For those of you that don't know, he is in year 3 of 4. Hopefully 4. Want to take a guess what I heard might be coming to the Nittany Mall?
It being torn down?
No.
Because it's dead. I've been there like twice.
Okay.
There's nothing there.
Okay, well, they're considering putting something in there. Something, here's a hint, that I would like.
A racetrack?
No. What's the other thing I like?
A sports betting place? A casino?
A casino. They're really thinking about putting a casino in there. Let's put a casino in a college town. Way to go.
That mall is so dead. It's like 2 miles off campus. That's why it's dead.
Well,
It's like 3 miles away. If it was next to campus, I bet you it'd be full.
it probably would be. But yes. Have I passed it?
No.
Okay.
When you go, when you go off at 322, like leaving campus and you turn right on the 322?
Yes.
If you keep going straight, it's like 2 to 3 miles that way.
Okay. All right. So, if everything was normal in the world, this would have been our college football preview show. And we would be going over Penn State, Kent State tonight.
That's to say, and I'd be going to a football game in 2 days.
Yes, I'm sure you would be there. But instead, there is a college game or two tonight, and there is a couple this weekend. Nothing major. The major conferences aren't playing yet. But instead, we'll talk about what should have happened 4 months ago, and that's the Kentucky Derby. The Kentucky Derby is this Sunday.
Kentucky Derby. I typed out like 600 words 816 actually, to be precise.
Wow. I wrote down about 20.
I did a full breakdown of every horse.
Oh, you must not have golfed today.
I did not. It was supposed to rain all day, so I didn't golf.
Got ya.
I was gonna golf.
Got ya. Daryl says good evening. Would you like to say good evening to Daryl?
Good evening.
So, anyway, before we get into talking about the Kentucky Derby, let's talk about Big Ten football.
There's nothing going on about Big Ten
Yes.
football.
And we've heard now 3 different things. Well, 4 different things. First, we heard there's going to be no season.
Yeah.
Then we heard there's going to be a spring season.
Yeah.
Then we heard they're going to start around Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And now they're talking about October 10th.
Yeah.
The only one of them that's the logical choice is the October the 10th. You can't start at Thanksgiving and then expect to be in the national title game because the national title game is in January.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
We
just...
start in October. We can get like an 8 or 9 game season in.
Yes.
Before bowls.
Yes. Yes, you can.
And we can have a whiteout, sort of.
Sort of. Well, Comrade Wolf is still saying outdoors 250 people max.
I guess we're not going to football game.
I mean, when you take the teams and the coaches and, I don't know, definitely the bands would put you over 250. Probably the teams and the coaches put you over 250.
The band might be 250.
Yeah. Yeah, the blue band, is that what they're called up there?
Band.
The blue band. They're pretty good. They're pretty good. So yes, so in the next week or two we will talk about other conferences that will be getting started, like the Southeastern Conference and the ACC and the Big 12. We'll definitely talk about them.
Penn State should just go to the ACC.
For a year, that wouldn't be a bad idea.
Play Miami, Notre Dame.
Yes. Yes, for those of you that don't know, Notre Dame is playing an ACC schedule this year. There was talk that Ohio State was thinking about going to the ACC. Supposedly now, the vote breakdown came out, and there was 3 presidents that voted yes.
And Ohio State was one of them.
Ohio State was the third, along with Nebraska and Iowa.
Yeah.
And now, supposedly, if you don't know, a bunch of students from Nebraska has sued the Big Ten.
Interesting.
And they got their first ruling, and it went in their favor.
Huh.
So the Big Ten is now being required to release some documents about how they came up with the conclusion to cancel the season. Which, you know what? It makes sense. Because if you have all these other kids and all these other conferences playing, they're going to have a leg up on the draft.
Yeah.
Than kids losing a whole year in the Big Ten. Now, granted, only, 5% of players make it from Division I, make it to the pros.
Yeah.
But still, that's a whole year where somebody who wasn't going to get drafted might. Perfect example, Joe Burrows. He was drafted number 1 this year, right?
Yeah.
He was projected at the end of last year, at the end of his junior year, to be a 6th round draft choice. He wasn't that good. He had an awesome senior year, and he's the number 1 pick in the draft. Kerry Collins was the same thing when he was at Penn State back in the early 90s. He didn't show much until his last game of his junior year when he put up 50-some points against Michigan State. I remember the game. And then next year, he just had the best year of any Penn State quarterback up until that time. And he got drafted in the first round. I mean, that's potentially what could happen to these players if they're not playing. So, I say they have all, the right to sue, and they should sue. What do you think?
Works for us. My next question was going to be, what are they suing about?
Well, they want them to force them to play.
Yeah. Because, I was thinking, what grounds are they even suing them on?
Right. And, the CDC they're posting the weekly count of number of deaths.
Yeah.
And when it became news last week, they had it posted up through August the 20th. 0 to 24-year-olds, 309 deaths. That's it. 309. Now, that's, 309 deaths is 309 too many, obviously.
Yeah.
But there's, 100 million people aged birth to 24 in this country? And 309 of them died of only COVID. Only COVID. Now, they're saying of all the COVID deaths, only 6% of everybody that's died, all age groups, have died of COVID only. The rest of people had other conditions, and most of them had between 2 and 3 conditions. So if you're saying that only 6% of birth to 24 is going to die just from COVID, the chances of somebody your age dying from COVID, it's like 0.00000012%.
Yes.
I think they could play football.
There was an article that came out today.
You probably have a better chance of getting hit by lightning on the golf course than you do of dying by only COVID in your age group. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. What are you looking for?
It's an article that came out today. It says, Penn State athletes doctor, 30 to 35% of coronavirus positive. Big Ten athletes had myocard.
Yeah, I saw it. Myocardia, yeah.
I don't know what that is. I didn't read it.
That's why Google is your friend.
I just didn't read it. I saw it. I'm just like, whatever. Because it was on one of those progressive news things that Penn State has.
Yes. Speaking of, do you get an email every day of positive cases?
I do not get an email, but I'll see. They update it every week, and I'll see it on Facebook or. I think we get maybe a news article about how many people. We're only at 30 something positive.
Okay.
It's not very
and
high. At all.
If I remember correctly, out of all the tests of all the athletes, there's only been one that's come back positive. If I remember that correctly.
I think they're up to 3.
Up to 3.
Yeah.
Again, probably not gonna die.
But sport they're on, they won't clarify.
But I digress. I mean, I got to an internet discussion, of course. One of the news sites posted an article on Facebook, and I basically posted what we're talking about right now, and I got attacked. They were calling me insensitive that 309 people died, and I'm being cavalier about it. Well, yeah, it's a bad thing, but more than 309 people die of influenza in 0 to 24 every year.
But that's not a problem.
It's all about taking risks. I put it this way. There's always a chance when you inoculate, when you get vaccines as a baby, you could die from them. But 99.999% of people take the risk for their child. I took the risk for you. You have all your vaccinations. I think you look like you're alive. Yeah. You're alive. I mean, but that's the risk I had to take.
I mean, it would just be if the athlete cares and they don't want to play, then they don't have to play.
Exactly. It's a cluster.
If they're concerned about it, then don't play. It's not a big deal.
Yes. It's just a complete and utter cluster.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Speaking of sporting events, our hockey picks aren't going too well.
What do you mean?
Well, one of them is we both had Colorado and Vegas going to the Western Conference Finals, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And
that one's looking all right.
Well, Colorado and Dallas is going to a Game 7. It wasn't looking good for Colorado because Grubauer, their goalie, got hurt in Game 1. And then their backup, something happened that he didn't play, so they had to bring in Michael Hutchinson. For those of you Reading Royal fans from back in the day, you would remember Michael Hutchinson, played for the Reading Royals back when he was part of the Boston Bruins. And he's come in and he's only allowed 1 or 2 goals in 2 games. So he's looking pretty good. And if you're going to come in the playoffs and have your first playoff starts ever in elimination games, you want to be on a team that scores a lot of goals.
I mean, it helps when I was watching. Ooh, who was playing? I forget who was playing, but it went into overtime. Maybe it was the Flyers game, the last one, and Colorado played that night, and it was 0-0, and they went back to the other game. And they come back at the end of the first period, and it's 5-0. I'm just like, what?
Yeah, that was yeah, that was game 5. So that was Sunday night ish.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Did Vegas? How's Vegas doing? Did they close out their series, or are they still playing?
Oh, they lost their last game 2-1. It was a very, very boring game.
Oh, was that the game that went into overtime?
No.
Okay.
It was just a boring game.
All right. So, are they going into Game 7 too, or are they only
going to Game
6?
They played at 9 at 9:45.
Got ya.
The Flyers are losing 3-2 at the moment.
Flyers are losing 3-2. Now that would be. Who would have thought the Islanders would have made it to the conference finals?
I was saying to my roommate, Nick, he has a Flyers thing over there on the wall. And I said to him, watching the playoffs, now I'm starting to think it might be like the Islanders-Vegas kind of final. And that would be a very interesting final.
Yeah, if the Islanders get by,
You don't think it could be Tampa?
No. And if you remember, my original pick was Tampa. Was it Tampa? Or no, it was Boston, Colorado. My original pick.
That doesn't mute my camera. No. Okay.
And then
You had...
my original pick was Boston, Colorado.
My bracket that I have here, your final was Colorado, Philly.
No, that's the updated one that we did.
Oh.
That was the one we did after the play-in round.
Oh.
But before the play-in round, I had Colorado and Boston, and you had Colorado and was it
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh? That's right. Yeah, Pittsburgh. And then we still had Colorado, Vegas out west, and you had who did you have in the East? Was it Tampa?
For our updated one?
Yeah.
I had Philly, Carolina.
Philly. Oh, ooh. Well, you might get one of them in there.
I had Carolina beating Boston, and then Carolina beating Washington because I figured Washington would beat the Islanders.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
You had Philly, Washington.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
Your updated brackets. Woo! Hey, at least you didn't pick Pittsburgh in your first bracket.
That is true. I did have them winning over Montreal, though.
So did I. That's easy.
Yeah, obviously you did too if you had them going to the Stanley Cup.
They're always a decent team in the playoffs. We could talk about the Bucks, how they're going to win the Super Bowl this year.
Well, next Thursday we will do our NFL preview. And we are, on Thursday nights, if it's all right with you, we're going to do a 7 o'clock start time because pro football starts at 8:30.
That's fine.
So we're going to start doing Tuesdays, Thursdays, because as he's on a college campus, he wants to go out and do what college kids do on a Friday night. So I'm fine with that. So we're going to have to do Tuesday, Thursday shows. We'll probably do Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 o'clock, probably, unless if 7 o'clock doesn't work for you on a Tuesday.
It depends if it's nice.
Well,
if it's nice, I have class until 1:30, so I usually golf at like 2:30. So.
Okay. All right.
So it depends. Tuesday,
right.
Thursday is like my busier day, but I'd rather do the show on Tuesday, Thursday.
Okay. So maybe
Wednesday, I'm free. Friday is Friday.
Yes. On Tuesdays we'll stay at 8 o'clock, and Thursdays we'll move to 7 o'clock. And how I figured we would do this is Tuesday's show will be more politics and some sports, and Thursday's show will be more sports and a little bit of politics.
Okay.
So since it's Thursday, we got to talk a little bit of politics before we get into the Kentucky Derby. So, last Thursday, the Republicans wrapped up their convention. I know, surprisingly, you watched Trump's speech.
Some of it. You said I ended up watching the whole thing.
You watched probably 95% of it.
I saw him say, the first thing I saw him say was, "I accept your nomination," and then I kind of like listened to it. I don't know if I watched it like intently, like looked at it.
Yeah.
But I watched it, yes. Because I turned it on and I was like, "Oh, look at this." I turned on my TV. I'm like, "Oh, look what's on."
I mean,
I think I saw somebody post it on Facebook or.
He was rather subdued, but. You know, because you get so used to when he's on the campaign trail to his rah, 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 rah. Like the next day he went up to New Hampshire and he rocked it.
Yeah.
Because he got to talk, he talks off the cuff. Like, he doesn't have a script when he's out campaigning. But that night, giving the speech, it was more like a State of the Union kind of, off of a teleprompter kind of speech. And it went long. It went way over an hour.
Yeah.
That probably wasn't the greatest idea.
I like the crowd, though.
Yeah.
And, like, none of them were wearing masks. So
yes. The fireworks are pretty cool.
I turned it off.
You missed the Trump 2020 fireworks.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Yeah. Yes, they went out and they said Trump, and they said 2020, and then they said Phatts TV.
Right.
Well, they said watch Phatts TV.
I'm sure. So that means our viewership's over like 10,000, right?
Well, yeah. Sure.
Hey, you probably liked that all the sports didn't want to play that day, so they got to watch his speech.
That's right. Yes, and yes, that's a shit show in itself. I mean,
I love seeing people that defend him.
I mean, that's not, in my opinion, the hill you want to die on. I mean, I get they're looking at the big picture. I'm looking at the micro picture of it. When you're going to stop playing sports because a guy was shot by a cop who in the past raped a 14-year-old girl, who had children in the car, and God knows, let's just say the cops didn't shoot him, and the guy has a gun in the car, and he picks up the gun. Instead of shooting the cops, he shoots his kids. You don't know. Yeah. You just don't know. I mean, to me, that's not the hill that sports want to die on. Breonna Taylor, that's the hill they want to die on. When they burst into her apartment and kill her, and they weren't even looking for her. That's the hill you want to die on. Those are the ones you shoot. Those are the ones I will go and march with you. That should never have happened.
Yeah.
The one that came out today, you probably didn't see it, about the guy that was killed up in Rochester. That shouldn't have happened. That was disgusting. That was absolutely disgusting. He was like a mental type case. Get out of my picture view, nerd. Tell him now he owes $10,000 for the rights to be on the show.
$10,000?
Well, I got to pay for your college somehow.
That's right.
I guess he was like a mental case, and they basically came, and this happened a few months ago, but the body cam footage came out now. They basically came and put like a bag over his head, and he basically suffocated.
Interesting.
I mean, that's absolutely disgusting. That's a hill you could die on, and I would support that. That's absolutely, positively disgusting. I digress.
Sports shouldn't quit to protest. You're not your sport. You're not politics.
I agree.
Play the sport.
Yes. Play the game.
If you want to, do your knee, whatever, just play the damn sport.
Yes. So what? We had baseball, basketball, hockey, and soccer all didn't play for a couple days. So I protested myself for a couple days, and I didn't watch any of it. I watched
any of it anyways.
I watched NASCAR and I watched golf last week.
Well, they don't protest there.
That's right. So that's what I watched.
Well, I watched your favorite actor last night too.
Really?
Director, my bad.
Oh yeah, that fat fuck.
Michael Moore.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you didn't watch it because of your choosing.
No, I had to watch it for documentary because I was bowling for Columbine. I watched the first 20 minutes. I'm just like, this is pissing me off.
Did you think it was going to be about bowling?
No, I knew what bowling for Columbine was about. I mean, that was the last thing that they did before like shooting the school.
I wouldn't know. I didn't watch. I've never seen
They
it.
actually tried to like link bowling to the crime.
Okay.
It's like, huh?
Okay.
So,
All right.
yeah, that was a disgusting thing. He's a very, I don't like the way he directs. He went to I forget what his name was, the CEO of the NRA. I forget what his name was, and asked him all these like questions that only had one answer, and it was the answer he was looking for. Yeah, if you're making a film, it's great, but like he needs to look at both sides of this. He never looks at the pro-gun side. Awful. Well, I hated it.
I don't know. I've always equated Michael Moore with a beached whale because that's kind of what he looks like. I mean, I could say that because I'm PA Phatts, so that means I'm fat. So I could talk about fat people and get away with it. But that's fat. That's a beached fucking whale.
He is a big boy.
He is a big boy. I actually watched one of the Purge movies last night.
Which one?
What was it called? Election Day?
Election Year.
Election Year.
That's the last one. No.
Is it?
That's like the last one in the story. It wasn't the last one they made.
Okay.
It was. I think that one's okay. It's like the third best in my opinion.
Okay.
Well, the first Purge, like the first movie, and then what was called the first Purge, were the two best in my opinion.
Okay. I mean, they're basically all the same thing.
Yeah.
Basically all the same.
Purge night. Purge night.
All right. So before we get into the Kentucky Derby, on the undercard, I have a horse running.
I couldn't find him on the undercard. What race is he?
6th.
That's why I was looking at 3, 4, and 5. Couldn't find him. I thought he was in 3, 4, or 5.
You know, you could have messaged me.
It's whatever. I know what his odds look like.
He's the 4 horse in the 6th race. He's coming off a very long layoff. He hasn't raced since last November. It doesn't feel like he hasn't raced in 10 months. I could say that. It's actually 9 months because it was towards the end of November. It doesn't feel like it. I mean, it literally feels like it's been about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Now, the horse was supposed to be bred for like middle distance. I don't think he's going to be a middle distance horse. I think he's going to be more of a 6 furlong horse. But he is tall, so he should be able to go distance. So his comeback race is at 7 furlongs, and to me, that's a tough distance. Very tough. So we'll see if he could stalk the pace. I mean, 15-1 is juicy odds if he's ready to run. The trainer thinks he's ready to run. The workouts don't say he's ready to run, but he's been what they call breezing in his workouts. Like he's not in 4th or 5th gear. He's in like 3rd gear. That's basically a way to talk about what a breezing workout is. So we'll see. We'll see. One of my other horses, Laneway, he finally won on the turf 2 weeks ago now. So he broke his maiden. He's looking at running next week or the week after, and Wayno's race is $100,000, and Laneway's next race is supposed to be for $100,000. Laneway is going to be a turf horse. Been saying that for a couple months now.
Yeah.
And hopefully, American Heiress is soon ready to run. That's the filly that's out of American Pharaoh.
Really?
And then we got Solar Strike. He's disappointed me.
Yeah?
One of the reasons why I bought into him, besides his bloodlines, was because there's a $6 million bonus with him. Wayno has the same $6 million bonus. Laneway has the same $6 million bonus. If they win a grade 1 stake, you get $6 million split up in between all the shareholders. I would get like $12,000 or something like that with all the shares that I have. His bloodline, though, they're a little rambunctious at times. He got the rambunctious side. There's one sure way surefire way to get a horse not to be rambunctious anymore.
How do you do that? Oh, I kind of figure. I think I know how.
Yeah, there's going to be no $6 million bonus with him, let's put it that way, because he will not be breeding. He got gelded. So, that's how you stop a horse from being rambunctious. You remove those things. So, the $6 million, the bonus comes from his breeding rights after he's done racing. That's where the $6 million bonus comes from, because that's where the real money in horse racing is. Breeding.
A little hard for him to breed now.
It's impossible to breed. So the $6 million bonus is a no-go, but now he can race until he's 6, 7, 8 years old, too. There's no need to stop him from racing unless if he gets injured.
So you're never going to make your money back on that one?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, there's nothing to say that he can't win the Breeders' Cup Classic and win $4 million. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing to say he can't. Just he's never going to get turned out for breeding. All right, so let's talk about the Kentucky Derby. So we'll go horse by horse now. For those of you that follow me regularly on Facebook, when it's Kentucky Derby time, I have certain things that I look at that works very well for the Kentucky Derby. It's a six thing. It's a checklist of 6 different items, and obviously, the more items of the 6 that you could check, typically the better the horse is going to do. 8 out of the last 10 winners. Now, last year, I'm still going to say Maximum Security was the winner, even though he got disqualified. So if he was the winner, 8 out of the last 10 Kentucky Derbies, the horse with 5 or 6 check marks has won the race. So they are. Let's see if I can remember these in order. It had a race, a prep race. Usually it's a big 6 prep race, but there's extra prep races this year because we're 4 months later. In a 1 1/8 race, which is typically the prep race length, it has to run the first 4 furlongs in less than 48 1/5 seconds. It has to run the last 5 furlongs in 1:02 3, so 1 minute 2 seconds and 3/5 and less. It has to have a 94 speed rating. That's 4. 5. From the 6th furlong call till the end of the race, it couldn't lose more than 2 lengths if it didn't win the race. And 6, it had to finish at least 2nd in its last race and at least 3rd in the race prior. So as we go over these horses, I'll say how many check marks they got. And if you hear me say 4 or less, basically, I don't think the horse is going to win the race.
Okay.
All right. So now before we start, Tiz the Law is a huge favorite in this race. This is the first time in a couple decades that there's been a huge morning line favorite of 3 to 5. It's been a long, long time. Tiz the Law on paper is much the best horse. For those of you that have been watching the show, you've heard me say he's going to win the Triple Crown. They're doing the Triple Crown a little different this year. They already raced the Belmont, which is usually the last leg of the Triple Crown, and it's usually the longest race. This year, the Belmont was the shortest race. It was 1 1/8. He blew the field away. And we'll talk about that race when we get to him. And I'll give you a stat that's just amazing about that race. So just keep that in mind, that he's going to be a huge favorite in the race. So we're going to take these in order. So the one horse is called Finnick the Fierce. Now, interesting about Finnick the Fierce. Tiz the Law lost once in his lifetime. And, oops, did we go down?
Not on my screen.
Okay. Something on my screen made it go down. Huh.
Are you going to say Finnick the Fierce beat Tiz the Law?
He did. He did. Finnick the Fierce finished 2nd in that race. It was the Kentucky Juvenile Cup. Finnick the Fierce finished 2nd. He was 88 to 1 that day.
He's going to be 99 to 1 too.
Probably not. I don't think it'll be 99 to 1. Are we still up on your end?
On my screen, yeah.
Okay. Meaning where you're watching it from?
Yeah.
Okay.
On my Xbox, we're still live.
Okay. So, what do you have on Finnick the Fierce? By the way, he's 50 to 1 morning line.
I said I'm not seeing a whole lot here. He has to start way inside, and it looked like he didn't like to break fast. So I basically said that's a throw out. If he's going to get trapped 9, 10 horses behind, forget it.
That is true. You're at a huge disadvantage to be coming out of the 1 hole in the Kentucky Derby. Huge disadvantage. Yeah. You're gonna have to go for the lead, and he's not a horse that likes to go for the lead.
Yeah.
His last race, the Bluegrass, which is one of those big 6 races, at the first call he was 11th place, 10 lengths back. So he was 2 seconds back at the first call, which was at the 4 furlongs or the half-mile call.
Yeah.
My points wise, he only got 3 out of 6, and I have him as a throwout. So we don't have to talk too much about him.
Nope.
The 2 horse, Max Player, 30 to 1 on the morning line. He last raced in the Travers, which the Travers is like, they call it the summer, or, the summertime Kentucky Derby, basically. It's at Saratoga. It's usually the richest race in the summertime. And he finished 3rd in that race. What do you have about Max Player?
I said he raced in the Belmont, finished 3rd, 5.5 back from Tis the Law. Likes to sit in and make a move late. If the track does play for a closer, I said he could have a possible top 4 finish.
He can. Max Player got 5 out of 6 checks in my checklist. The one that he didn't get was the very last one, because he finished 3rd in his last race, and on the checklist you have to finish 1st or 2nd in your last race. I will play him underneath in my exactas and trifectas. The one thing that I do like about him, here are his Brisnet speed factors for his 5 races. He's only ever raced 5 times. So he's a lightly raced horse at this point in your 3-year-old season. He got an 84, an 89, a 95, 100, and 107. So he's gotten better with each race. That's usually a good sign. If you go back and look at my write-up for last year's race, you will see I say the same thing about Maximum Security. And Maximum Security went on to win the race. My concern with Maximum Security was he was out of In the Mischief, and I didn't know if he could get the distance. Because In the Mischief horses usually run a little shorter, ergo Wayno. Because Wayno is out of In the Mischief. Ricardo Santana is up on Max Player for Steve Asmussen, who, by the way, trains Wayno.
Hey.
Max Player has never been lower than 3rd as well. Now, coming out of the 2 hole, it's a little bit different than coming out of the 1 hole. He usually likes to sit 5th or 6th. In the Belmont, he didn't. He dropped back to 9th at the first call. If he could sit 5th or 6th, he could potentially finish 3rd or 4th. So, yeah, I'm there with you. The 3 horse, Enforceable, 30 to 1 on the morning line. He's out of Tappet. He last raced in the Bluegrass. The Bluegrass this year was in July. Usually it's in April. This year it was in July. Again, once COVID hit, they staggered all these prep races. He finished 4th in that race, 8.5 lengths back. So what do you have about Enforceable?
I said he hasn't really raced this kind of race since 2019. He won 1 Grade 3 back in January, but hasn't really shown much since then, and I threw him away.
Okay, so you have him as a throwout.
Yes.
I have him as a potential play.
Okay.
Not to win.
Yeah.
For him to win, they're going to have to go really, really, really fast up front. Really fast. He gets 4 out of the 6 check marks. Another reason why I don't like him to win. But let's look at his races. In the Bluegrass, at the first call, he was 10th. He finished 4th. The Louisiana Derby, at the first call, he was 10th. He finished 5th. In the Risen Star, he was 8th. He finished 2nd. The race before that, he was 7th. He won. The Kentucky Juvenile Cup, he was 8th. He finished 4th. So he's a closer. Closers, as long as they could find a path, typically run pretty well late in the Kentucky Derby. They don't usually win, unless if it's a super fast. I mean, what I mean by super fast is you're going to have to see 44-2 for the opening 4 furlongs, which is really fast. If they go 44-2, he's got a chance to win, because the speed's going to be breaking down at the end. They're going to just get tired. So I have him as a potential play underneath. Definitely not to win, though. The 4-horse, Storm the Court, 50-1. He last raced actually on the turf at Del Mar, where Laneway won. Turf at Del Mar. What do you have for Storm the Court?
I have the last major race was the Arkansas Derby, where he finished 10th, 15 lengths back. Since then has raced some lower grade 3s and hasn't shown a whole lot. He was a throwout. Yes.
I have him as a throwout as well. He gets 3 out of 6 checks. He's definitely outclassed here. I mean, if you could only finish 3rd in the Ohio Derby, you're not winning the Kentucky Derby. Sorry. Sorry. I mean, he lost to South Bend in the Ohio Derby. We will talk about South Bend in a little bit, because South Bend is in this race. Yeah, he's a throwout. Number 5, Major Fed. 50-1 on the morning line. James Graham up. He last ran in the Indiana Derby, which this year was a prep race. Usually it's not. The Indiana Derby, believe it or not, is in the state of Indiana. Go figure. Really? What do you have for number 5, Major Fed?
Has never raced in a race of this caliber. He hasn't raced in 59 days. And I believe the trainer has never won a race.
Well, the trainer hasn't won this year at Churchill Downs.
Yeah.
But he's not a Churchill Downs trainer, typically.
And I also have he'll just be outclassed, badly. So I threw him out.
Yes. Yeah, he's definitely not going to win the race. For those of you that play the the Big 5, which means you have to pick the winner, the order of the first 5 finishers, I would throw him in for 5th. There's potential. He's probably going to be sitting 9th or 10th or so at the first call. There's potential. I mean, he did gain on a slow pace in his last race. I mean, the Indiana Derby, they went 47-3 for the first half mile. Should have been quicker for horses of that caliber, and he still closed at the end. So, not bad. The Louisiana Derby was the same thing. He closed at the end. Now, Fairgrounds got that they've been kind of known for that. So, he has two checks. So, potential 5th for those of you that like to play those exotics. Number 6, King Guillermo. Sammy Camacho up. 20-1 morning line. He's out of Uncle Mo. Uncle Mo won 2 out of the 3 legs of the Triple Crown when he was a 3-year-old. Do you think the son of Uncle Mo gets it done there, kiddo?
I had the last race was the Arkansas Derby, where he finished 2nd. Out of 5 starts, he has 2 wins and 4 top 3s. If he can get the distance, I said he would be able to finish in the top spot.
Really?
He's coming out of a good hole, 6. So if he gets a good break and can get the distance, I think he could be up there in the top 3 or 4.
Okay.
Wouldn't say he's going to win.
Okay.
3 or 4.
Interesting. I was a little surprised. He actually got all 6 checks on my checklist. That really,
you gotta throw them in. That's just how it works.
that really surprised me. Now, granted, the last race, the Arkansas Derby, where you got to run the final 5 furlongs in 102 and 3, he ran it in 102 and 3.
Oh.
So, he's like just barely got all 6 checks. But he did. Now, King Guillermo, I watched the race when he won the Tampa Bay Derby that day. He was 49-1. Then he went to the Arkansas Derby and finished second. And that was a really classy race. My concern is, I don't know if he could get the 1.25 miles. Now, being a son of Uncle Mo, he should be able to get the 1.25 miles. Should be. I don't know if he's going to, though. I will definitely put him underneath.
Wow, we have like the same exact thing going on there. If he can get distance,
Yes.
maybe.
Yes. I mean, this, I think, is Sammy Camacho's first Derby. Like, Sammy Camacho's the hot shoe down at Tampa Bay. Like, he's the guy at Tampa Bay. Everywhere else, he's just like a journeyman rider. So, we'll see. I mean, yeah, I was shocked when I saw that he got all 6 of my checks. Now, when he finished second in the Arkansas Derby, he finished second to Nadal. Nadal would have been one of the co-favorites with Tiz the Law, but Nadal's not racing. He got injured in the Arkansas Derby, I believe. It was right after that. So he is out. So, yeah, he's a possibility at 20-1. The 7-horse, Money Moves, 30-1. Javier Castellano aboard for Todd Pletcher. Todd Pletcher, one of the better trainers in this race. What do you think for Money Moves?
I have his past races were a lot lower in classification. He's won 2 times, but those are pretty weak races. He'll be outmatched.
I think I've taught you well. He gets 1 check out of the 6, and that's the very last one. He finished second in his last race and finished first, second, or third in the race before. And you're correct. He's only raced 3 times, so he's a very lightly raced horse. He won his maiden race, then he won a optional claiming $75,000 race, then he finished second in an optional claiming $62,500 race. Yeah. Yeah.
Now he's racing in the Kentucky
So
Derby.
that's kind of like, well, first off, he makes the Kentucky Derby because it's not a full field. If they had a full field of 20, he wouldn't be in it because he wouldn't have enough points because he has 0 points. But they don't have the full field of 20, so he puts down his money and he makes it. But, the races that he raced in, it's like he just played against the freshman basketball team. He's a really good freshman on the high school basketball team, and now he's going up to play Duke.
Right.
So he went from freshman high school to Duke.
Duke.
That's what it's like stepping into where he was to where he's going. Yeah. Shockingly, he's not 50-1 on the morning line. He's only 30-1. Do I think this horse is going to be good? Yes, I do. Not today. Saturday.
Yeah.
He needs to grow a little more. Next year, this horse could be something, potentially. Not yet. Biting off a lot more than he could chew right now.
Watch you wins.
Yeah, that would be a monumental upset. Yeah, again, he only makes this race because it's not a full field.
Yeah.
The 8-horse, South Bend. If you remember, I said we would get to South Bend when we were talking about Storm the Court. South Bend, 50-1, William Mott. For those of you that know horse racing going back to the 80s, William Mott trained Cigar, who won 16, 17, 18 straight races back in the day. Tyler Gaffleone on top. Tyler Gaffleone, I believe, is riding Wayno in the 6th race for me. What do you think of South Bend?
I I said he hasn't raced in really any big races other than a couple of grade 3s in 2020. Doesn't show much in those races particularly, so I think he'll be outclassed, and I also threw him out.
I wrote down one word. Outclassed. I've taught you well. Again, he was beaten. He beat Storm the Court. Storm the Court is a nothing horse. He finished second in the Ohio Derby. Storm the Court finished third. So what does that tell you? Now, interestingly enough, he did finish fourth in the Travers. But he finished fourth, beaten 9.5 lengths to Tis the Law. 9.5 lengths is almost 2 seconds. And they're going to run a... actually, yeah, the Travers issue... Actually, the Travers was still at 1.25 miles. So it's going to be... It's the same distance. Do you think he's going to make up 2 seconds on Tis the Law? Who knows? Never know. It can happen. He did have a 105 in his last race. I just think he's outclassed, but in 2020, nothing would surprise me. In 2020. The 9 horse, Mr. Big News, 50-1. Gabriel Saya is up. He's a really good jockey. What do you have for Mr. Big News, the 9 horse?
I said he won the Oaklawn Stakes back in April.
He did.
He, other than that, really hasn't shown much in other races. Raced in grade 2 and didn't really do anything. I had him as a throwout.
All right. He got 3 of my checks. I have him as a throwout as well, unless the track is sloppy. If the track is sloppy, he moves way up. If the track is sloppy, I will put him in my exotics as a long bomb. That's where he runs good. He runs good on the slop. That race that you said he won, the Oaklawn Stakes race, it was on the slop. He's raced a couple other times on the slop, was in the money both times. Bluegrass was on a fast track. He finished 6 by 10. So, we're going to have to watch what the weather is like in Kentucky on Saturday. If it's good, he's out. If it's bad, he's in. Really simple. Really simple. The 10 horse, 1,000 words, Florent Giroux. For Bob Baffert, the best trainer in the world. 15-1 on 1,000 words. What do you think of 1,000 words?
I said he's won a few good races. Seems to be consistent to where he starts, he will finish. So that would be, if he breaks good, I think he could be there. Won last time out on 1 mile and 16th with a 143 and 4, which is extremely close to Tis the Law's 1 mile and 16th. So I said I think he could be there at the end.
Okay. So, obviously, you know, the good trainers have a bunch of horses that they train.
Mm-hmm.
So, coming into the 3-year-old season, Bob Baffert's best horse was Charlatan. He's not running. He got hurt. Second best horse, Nadal. He's not running. He got hurt. Third best horse, Authentic. He's running. We'll get to him in a little while. Somewhere after that comes 1,000 words.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he was his 4th best horse. I might not even say he was his 8th best horse.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't run in... I mean, he ran in a couple grade 2s earlier in the year out on the West Coast, which are prep races for the Santa Anita Derby. He won the Robert B. Lewis. Big deal. Finished 4th in the San Felipe, which is one of the 2 or 3 prep races for the Santa Anita Derby. Finished 4th by 11. The Oaklawn Stakes, which Mr. Big News won, he finished 11th. The Los Alamitos Derby, that's a nothing race. He finished 2nd. And whatever that race he won the last time at Del Mar, he won it wire to wire in 1:43 and 4 for a mile and 16th, which is slow against these horses.
Because the laws was.
Against these horses, that's slow. He got one check mark of mine. He was almost an automatic throwout. Interestingly enough, though, he cost $1 million.
Well, this is the first one we actually finally kind of disagreed on a little bit.
Yeah.
Took 10 horses to finally disagree.
Yeah. First off, I don't think he's going to be able to get the distance.
Okay.
He was fading 2 races back in the Los Alamitos Derby when he finished second. He lost links in the stretch, and he's going to have to go another 1/8 of a mile in this race, so another whole furlong.
Uh-huh.
I don't see him being... I don't think he finishes in the top 10, let's put it that way.
Okay.
So, we'll have to write this down. Where does 1,000 Words finish? Number 11, Necker Island. 50-1 on the morning line. What do you got on him?
I said his past races were a lot weaker than this race. Hasn't showed much in those races, so he should get outmatched and won't really be a factor.
He's the only horse in this race that gets 0 checks on my checklist. 0. I mean, he's 50.
So you're putting him in.
Yeah. He's 50-1 for a reason. He absolutely will not get the distance in this race. Absolutely will not. He fades at a mile and a 16th, and you're asking him to go a mile and a quarter. He finishes 15th or worse in this race. Wouldn't surprise me if he finishes 17th in this race. Wouldn't surprise me if he finishes 18th in this race. 18th would be last, by the way. He does have 2 wins, though, over the track. He broke his maiden, and he won an optional $75,000 claiming race on this track. He was the even money favorite when he broke his maiden, by the way.
There you go.
Yeah. The 12 horse, Sol Valente. 30-1 on the morning line. Sol Valente, last race in the Belmont, finishing 6th, 15 lengths back.
Wow, just read my first 2 bullet points.
Okay.
Literally goes, last time out was the Belmont, finished 6th, 15 back at Tis the Law. Other than that race, he looked like he liked to close a little bit. So I said, if the track plays for closers, he could get for a top 5. Could. But I wasn't going to throw him in.
Okay. Actually, that Belmont race was the only time he's been out of the money in his career. Out of the 7 starts, he's got 4 wins, 1 second, 1 third, and 1 off the board, and that was his last start in the Belmont. Now, obviously the Belmont was going up against the best horses that he's faced so far. Remember when I said, what horse were we talking about? I said he like his mile and his 16 time. When we were talking about 1,000 Words, mile and his 16 time was 1:43 and 4. Yeah, Tis the Law won the Belmont at a mile and 1/8 in less than 3 seconds slower. So he got another 16th of a mile in less than 3 seconds.
It's okay.
Yeah. I think he had an excuse. If you go back and watch that Belmont race, I think he has an excuse. He was basically wide throughout the entire race. He came out of the 10 hole in that race, and he did not get a good start in that race at all. So, to me, that's a throwout. He got 3 checks out of there. The only thing that I don't like about him is his form is it's not getting better. You know, when we talked about the 2 horse earlier, Max Player, I said every race his form got better. He went from 84 to 89 to 95 to 100 to 107. Sol Valente, let's not include the last race, which was an 88, which you could make excuses for. He went 81, 95, 100, 102, 96, 98. So he's kind of backing up. I don't really know what to make of this horse. he could finish third or fourth, and he could finish 16th. Out of all the horses in this race, he's the one that I don't have a feeling about, other than I think he's going to end up being a turf horse. I think this is the last race you see him on dirt. He does have 2 turf races in his career, and he's won both of them.
There you go.
All of his, like when he trains, he typically trains on turf. I think he's a turf horse. So, again, in here, because no one else has enough points to knock him out. So why not give him a shot to win some money? Interestingly, when we talked about that horse earlier, 1,000 Words that I said cost $1 million, So Valente cost $20,000. You could have bought So Valente for $20,000.
That's a pretty good buy.
$20,000. $20,000. Interesting. 13, attachment rate. 50-1. Joe Talamo on board for Dale Romans. Dale Romans is a sneaky good trainer. What do you have for attachment rate?
I said he has only raced twice since May, and in those 2 races he was beaten by weaker horses. He should be outmatched.
So he's a throwout for you.
Yes.
I was surprised when he got 4 check marks for me. I also have him as a throwout strictly because if you look at his last 3 races, 3 back was 1 mile and 16th, and he lost. He went from 3 lengths back at the top of the stretch to losing by 5, so he lost ground. 2 races back at Keeneland in the Bluegrass, he lost ground in the stretch. Last race, at the Ellis Park Derby, lost ground from the top of the stretch to the finish line. None of them were at 1.25 miles. The last 2 were at 1 1/8 miles. He's not going to be there at the end. He can't get the distance. He's a throwout.
Okay.
For me. The 14, winning impression, 50-1 on the morning line. Joe Rocco. I remember Joe Rocco, his days on the Maryland circuit. He was a decent rider back then. 50-1 winning impression. What do you have for Joe Rocco?
So he ran in the Arkansas Derby, but he did not do well, finishing, I believe, 4th, 9.5 back. Has shown potential, but I think this is too big of a race for him. It's a throwaway.
He got 2 checks for me, and I wrote down 3 words for him: may finish last. Yeah. He finished 7th in the Indiana Derby, finished 7th in the Ellis Park Derby. Ellis Park Derby, he raced wide throughout, especially the last half of the race. Not really sure how he got 4th in the Arkansas Derby, to be honest. He probably shouldn't have. He actually got 3rd. He was placed 3rd through disqualification. I don't see it. I don't see it at all. All right, so now, interestingly, we got 4 horses left to go.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you right now, it would not shock me at all if these horses finish 1, 2, 3, 4 in some kind of order.
Yep.
Somehow the best horses got outside in this race. And it wasn't by plan. The draw is completely random. You know, they put the horses, however they put the horses in whatever line of how they're going to draw them. And then they have like a tumbler and they draw a pill. And that's where you start. And just so happens the 4 best horses in the race are starting 15, 16, 17, and 18.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So the 15, New York Traffic. Now, when I say 4 best horses in the race, not necessarily by odds, because New York Traffic is 20-1, and there's other horses that are slightly better. There's one horse in here that's 15-1. King Guillermo is 20-1. 1,000 Words is 15-1 somehow. Somehow he's 15-1. I don't know how. I don't think he's going to go off at 15-1. So, New York traffic, 20-1. Paco Lopez up. He's typically a Florida rider. He rides mostly at Gulfstream and Tampa Bay. What do you have for New York traffic?
Well, I think this is the best named horse in the field. I think it's funny.
Okay.
I said I think there is potential in this horse. He does need to get a good break, but he likes to seem to stalk the leaders, so he should go for the lead. I don't think that'll be the problem. I do like him to come close. He could win, but I don't think he's going to win. Maybe second or third.
Okay. And I'm assuming his name is New York Traffic. It could be Nye Traffic. It is NY. I'm just assuming NY meant New York.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought.
It could be Nye Traffic. Who knows? I mean, there is no dots after the N and the Y, so maybe it is Nye Traffic. Who knows? He got all 6 checks. By the way, the last 4 horses got all 6 checks in my sheet. He was, I wouldn't say a surprising second in the Haskell. The Haskell is the other big race in the summertime. That's at Monmouth Park. There's 2 big races in the summertime, the Haskell and the Travers. Travers is a little bit bigger than the Haskell. They both basically pay the same amount, though. But the Travers is at Saratoga, so that just makes it a better race. Period. Especially compared to Monmouth. You know, upstate New York against New Jersey. Yeah, I mean, he's been out of the money twice in his career, but it hasn't been in his 3-year-old season. In his 3-year-old season, he's finished first, third, second. As you said, he likes to stalk the pace. The question is he going to be able to clear horses inside of him and get good position? Paco is going to have to do a really good job at the start of this race to get him over. I mean, winning impression doesn't have a lot of speed. Attachment rate doesn't really have a lot of speed. Sol Valente has no speed. Necker Island doesn't have much speed. 1,000 words, he'll break. You know, so there's not, the horses to the inside of him don't have a lot of speed until you get to 1,000 words. So he might be able to clear them and get a good position. But you're going to see, when we get to other horses that come after him, they're going to want good position too. That's what's going to make this race very interesting. He's definitely a play. I did put he probably can't win, but I will definitely play him underneath in exactas, without a doubt. The 16 horse, Honor AP, 5-1, second choice. Mike Smith on board. I think he's like 100 years old. He's been racing for like ever. What do you have for Honor AP?
I think it's Honor Arnold Palmer. But he won a Grade 1 back in June. I'm assuming that's the San Antonio Derby?
No, that's the Santa Anita Derby.
Close enough.
Yes.
SA.
Yes.
I said he has potential to be there at the end. Same as the other horses. I think if the track plays as a closer, I think he'll win.
Okay.
I think he might sit kind of in the middle for about the first half, 3/4 of the race, and then start making a move.
If any of these 4 horses are going to get caught out wide in the first turn, I think this is the one. And if he does, he has no chance. If he's 5-6 wide on the first turn, no chance. He'll race mid-pack by the time it's over. You know, if you think about it, if you're racing in the 6th path around the first turn, which means he's probably going to be racing wide around the second turn as well, you actually run about 300 more feet than you do if you're on the rail.
Yeah.
That's a lot to have to make up. I mean, you got to be a really special horse, 'tis the law, to be able to make that up. Honor AP got 6 checks. I will definitely throw him into exactas. He could finish second. He could finish third. He could finish 8th. He's the one where Tripp is really going to be dependent. Mike Smith has been on him every race. He's only raced 5 times. He's got 2 wins and 3 seconds, so he's either been first or second every time. And interestingly enough, he went second, first, second. If he keeps the same, thing, he might finish first. He beat, and we'll get to him in a little bit, Authentic. We will get to Authentic.
Relax. Stop taking my bullet points.
Honor AP, second choice, 5-1. Why is he the second choice at 5-1? Because we have the 17 horse, 'Tis the Law. Manny Franco aboard, 3-5. 3-5. Trained by Barkley Tag. If I remember correctly, and I could be wrong, Barkley Tag, I think, trained Super Saver.
Ooh, I remember Super Saver.
Yeah, coming right up the rail with, what's his name on board? Crap, I can't think of his name. Burrell. They used to call him Burrell because he always liked to ride on the rail.
Yeah.
Remember, he was the 7 horse that day. He came right up the rail. And I won money because I had him that day. Because he got 6 checks.
Yeah.
All right. 'Tis the Law is the monster horse in this race. Breaking out of post 17, though. What do you have for 'Tis the Law?
I said he's obviously the cream of the crop. He won the Travelers and the Belmont back in June.
Travers,
whatever. Travers, same thing. I'm just trying to go by the abbreviations. He does start outside. That could cause a little bit of trouble, but he should be able to break pretty quick. He'll probably need to stalk to lead the whole race, or just about, but he should win the race. Unless something horrific basically happens.
Yes. I think even if he's 5 wide around the first turn, he's still going to have enough horse at the end. I told you there's a stat about 'Tis the Law.
Uh-huh.
All right, so let's go back to his Belmont race. This year it was at 1 1/8 miles, not at 1.5 miles. They didn't want, for some reason, they didn't want horses going 1.5 miles. So they had him running at 1.8 miles. At the first call in that race, he was in third, 2 lengths back.
Uh-huh.
The first 4 furlongs were run in 46 seconds flat. He was 2 lengths back. So he ran the first 4 furlongs in 46 and 2.
Uh-huh.
Now remember, my second check is you have to run the first 4 furlongs in 48 and 1 or under.
Uh-huh.
He ran it in 46 and 2. He wins the race, 9 furlong race. To get the check, you have to run 1 minute, 2 seconds, and 3/5 or less to get the check.
Uh-huh.
He runs the first 4 furlongs in the race in 46 and 2, and he runs the time of the race he wins is 1:46 and 2. He ran the last 5 furlongs of that race in a minute. That's unheard of. That is unheard of in a 9 furlong race.
Yeah.
I mean, you look up at the nags up at Penn National, unless you're on the turf, a 5 furlong sprinter can't do a minute. Now, a good 5 furlong race at a good track, they could probably run 57, 58 seconds. He ran the back 5 furlongs of a 9 furlong race in a minute.
So you're saying
What?
he wouldn't have been too far off if they just took off when he got there?
When he turns it on so much better than even American Fair. In my lifetime, like he turns on like Secretariat. If you go back and watch Secretariat from the mid-70s.
Oh, the Belmont.
When he won the Belmont by 30, 31 lengths, he just turned it on. Like, 'Tis the Law turns it on like Secretariat. Like, and it's just like wham. Within like 2 strides, he goes from 3rd gear to 8th gear, if there was such a thing. It's amazing to watch. If you can, go back and watch some of his races, especially that Belmont race when he just turns it on. Then he goes to the Travers. The Travers is that race is known as like the graveyard of favorites. Favorites usually do so horrible in that race. Yeah, he won by 5. Same thing. He was 3rd at the first call. Whoever was first slowed that race down. Max Player was in that race. Where was he at the first call? He was way back. He was in 6th. So whoever was leading tried to slow that race down so they could conserve some energy to the end. Slower you go at the beginning, the faster you go at the end. Unless you're 'Tis the Law, you just go fast through the whole race. So they ran the first 4 furlongs in 2 seconds slower, and he still blew the field away by 5. I mean, he's just so far and above. It would have been really good if Charlatan was still in. I would have loved to see 'Tis the Law, Nadal, and Charlatan run. If you watch this show enough, you will know my horse Laneway lost to Nadal when Nadal broke his maiden. Then he lost to Charlatan once Charlatan broke his maiden.
Did he finish like 2nd in both of those or 3rd?
Third in both of them. In fact, he was the favorite in one of those races. He was actually the favorite over either Nadal or Charlatan.
Nice.
Yeah. Right. Unless if something really, really, really bad happens, he stumbles out of the gate. He gets pinched. He's forced 12 wide on the first turn. Yeah. I mean, his running style, he likes to run at the first call somewhere 3rd, 4th, 5th. If something weird happens that he's 10th, it'll be something new for him. And it would be neat to see what he does at the top of the stretch to see if he can make up 5, 6 lengths. Normally at the top of the stretch, he's got the lead. He's had the lead at every race except for the race that he lost when Finnick the Fierce beat him. That race was on the slop, though. Track comes up sloppy, who knows? He only had an 89 speed figure in that race. 89. His other races were 97, 93, 100, 108, 106, 115.
115? Oh my god.
Yeah, he ran 115 in the Travers. Surprisingly, he only ran 106 in the Belmont. I don't know how. You run the last 5 furlongs in a minute and you only get a 106? What? That should have been 126.
You're right.
Dumbasses. Class of the race, unless it's something weird happens, he wins. Unless something weird happens, he's your next Triple Crown winner. I called the last 2. When American Pharoah won it, when Justify won it. I called it before the Kentucky Derby that they were winning it. I called this before the Belmont because all the other good horses were out.
Yeah.
And the last horse, Authentic, another Bob Baffert horse. Again, this would have been the 3rd horse in his barn if Nadal and Charlatan were still in. He won the Haskell over New York traffic.
Taking my things!
His last time out. Interestingly, Johnny Velasquez is up on him. Johnny V. Velasquez hasn't raced on him yet. Mike Smith, who was on him, is obviously for Honor AP. He's Honor AP's regular rider, so of course he wasn't going to be on him. But Van Dryke was his normal rider on the West Coast, and he's not being brought in to run this race, surprisingly. Authentic, what do you got?
I said last time out he won the Grade 1 Haskell by a nose. He has 4 wins in his 5 lifetime starts. His 1 loss to Honor AP, who's a 16 horse. I said he has potential to win, but as all the other horses, he's got to have to break good. It looks like he likes the lead, so I think he's going to go for it. But I think he could get stuck 2, 3, maybe even 4 wide, so I don't think he'll win.
Mm-hmm.
I'm obviously going to put him in my plays, but I don't think he's going to win. Because he has Tis the Law, Honor AP, and New York Traffic or Nye Traffic in front of him that are also going to be kind of going hard. So he's going to be at least probably stuck 3 wide.
I'm going to agree with you for the most part. I'm going to disagree in one area. So in his 5 starts, he's got 4 firsts and a second.
Yeah.
He lost the Santa Anita Derby to Honor AP by 2 3/4. That was the only race that at a point of call he didn't have the lead. At any point of call, at the half mile, the 6 furlong, the top of the stretch, and at the finish, he never had the lead. Every other race, at least at one call, he had the lead. Most of them, the entire race, he had the lead. He likes the lead. So I don't think he's going to win this race. The question is, for him to get the lead, he's going to have to clear the 15, the 16, and the 17, and the 10. That's going to take, well, I think he's going to do it. But it's going to take a lot out of him to do it.
Okay.
Like, he likes to run 47 to 47 and 2 the first 4 furlongs. If he runs 47 and 2 in this, he's going to be 6 lengths back at least. At least. He's going to have to run at least 46 flat to get the lead at the 4 furlong. To me, that's the kiss of death. I mean, you've watched enough derbies with me to know the Kentucky Derby, some horses go like 44 and 3.
You ones are going, they're flying
Yes.
every time.
Yes.
And there was one year it was slow. I think it was last year, 2 years ago. And you're like, it's over. It was the first call. It's over. What?
Yeah, because they ran like 23 and 3 or something like that.
Yeah, they ran it really slow.
Yeah, and they ran like 47 and 1 for the first half. Yeah, that's slow. You're used to seeing 43s and 44s in this race because you just got horses that need the lead to win. He, to me, needs the lead to win. Another horse that's out of Into Mischief, by the way. He wants the lead. He's going to have to really hustle out of the gate to get the lead. He's going to have to run faster than he ever has to keep the lead. I don't think he could. I think he gets the lead or second to the 10 horse. I don't think he's going to be there at the end.
If he was in like the 10 spot, he might be my favorite. Because he's going to get out and probably lead, and it's going to be him or Tis the Law, one or the other. It'd be back and forth.
I think Tis the Law is a lot better than Authentic. I would still say Tis the Law would win. But you're right. If he was coming out of like the 7 hole, very different story. We're talking about a whole different race right now than we are with him coming in out of the 18 hole. Totally different story. Coming out of the 18 with 3 decently fast horses right to his inside.
Yeah.
Bad. Of all the places where he could have gotten, there's probably 2 that he didn't want. The 1 and the 18. And he got the 18. Yeah. I'm sure he probably would have preferred the 1 over the 18. Especially with who's in 15, 16, and 17.
Yeah, probably.
All right, so I'm not going to make any plays yet. I will post them on my Facebook page on Saturday at some point. You could tell me and I'll post your plays as well on Saturday.
These aren't all my plays. Like, I wouldn't play all of these, but these are all my potential options that I had. So all the horses that I liked were the 6, the 10, the 15, 16, 17, and 18. I had to win the 15, 16, or 17. Pick one. The exact is I had 16, 17 over 15, 16, 17, 18, and 2. Trifectas, I had 16, 17, 18 with 15, 16, 17, 18 with 6, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18, 2. Obviously, I wouldn't play these, but these are like, there's so many good horses that can finish like 3rd to 5th.
It is the Kentucky Derby.
And then the superfecta is 16, 17,
Yeah, okay.
15, 16, 17, 18, 2,
Yeah.
6, 10, 15, 18, 6, 10, 15, 2.
With all.
With all, yeah. Might as well just quick fall.
Yes.
I was like, I'm not going to play. It's going to take $50 just to play these.
Probably more. It might take $50 just to play the trifectas the way you said them.
I would have to narrow it down more, but like, if you're going to tell me to just pick them without cost,
yes,
that's how I would play it.
Usually, I like to put 2 or 3 horses on top in the Kentucky Derby. I just might have Tisdale on top, and that's it.
I think I have to put Honor AP there too, just in case.
And again, I'll have to see how the track's sloppy. Could change a bunch of stuff.
5 horse win it all. Make your fed or whatever.
It could definitely change some things. All right, so look for our plays on my personal Facebook page and the Phatts TV group page and the other Phatts TV page. I don't even like. There's a Facebook page and a group page, and then my personal page and my Twitter page and everything else.
Your MySpace.
Yeah, my MySpace.
Probably
So,
have a MySpace.
I did back in the day. I did, and your mother yelled at me for having it.
Oh?
Yes. Yes, somebody, a person that I used to bowl with, Charlie Palm's grandson. You remember Charlie Palm?
Yeah.
The old guy, the old lefty.
Yeah.
His grandson, I used to bowl with him on a Friday night. His grandson's probably 10, 12 years younger than me. He used to date a girl, decently pretty, who was bisexual.
Mm-hmm.
And like they broke up, and he that's when she came out of the closet that she was bisexual, and like I didn't have a MySpace, and he told me about it. He goes, dude, you gotta check out her MySpace, like where she's saying all this stuff. So I'm like, well, all right, I'll create one just to look, and I did, and your mother found out about it and got mad at me.
Ooh, a MySpace.
Like what? She thought I was she thought I was cheating on her because I had a MySpace account. Yeah. Okay. 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 Whatever. Yes. All right. So we've been doing this almost for an hour and a half. We took us a long time.
Do we get any comments?
No. Other than Daryl saying good evening, gentlemen.
Oh, jeez. How many people are watching?
8,216.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, you know, the fireworks helped.
Right.
Yes.
I could just look right there. There it is.
All right.
Chat. Pull up live chat.
Yeah, but that's not right. I can tell you that's not right. I've been doing this for PJBT for 4 years now, and half the time it'll say we got like 80 some watchers, and then 2 minutes later it says we have 12. And 2 minutes later it says we got 53. Like it just bounces all around. It's really weird. All right, so that's our show. That's our comeback show for the night.
We got since we've been doing this a while. Oh, it's 4-4 with 3 minutes to go. I know I'll turn it on.
4-4 with 3 minutes to go.
Come on, Islanders.
Yeah, if it goes to Game 7, you want the Islanders to win tonight.
I don't think they've been in the conference final since '94.
No, 93.
93. Yeah, I knew it was 93, 94.
That was the Game 7 day before Easter when they beat the Capitals in 4 overtimes to make it to the conference finals. That was the last time. And then they lost to Montreal in 5.
Good. When Montreal was good.
I believe Montreal went on to win the cup that year. That might have been the year they beat Calgary in the finals. What a boring year, Montreal and Calgary in the finals.
What's wrong with... If you're from Canada, maybe that's not so boring.
Calgary?
What's wrong with Calgary?
Calgary and Montreal.
I think they were in Canada for the longest time.
They are in Canada.
Yeah, I didn't know Calgary was in Canada for the longest. I thought it was in, like, Montana.
Montana. Yeah, okay, Montana. Good job.
Or Minnesota or something like that.
Again, 19 chromosomes from me, 20 whatever from your mother. It has to be.
20,
Do you have our exit music ready to go?
I do not.
Get it ready to go.
I'm working on it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in tonight. We will be back next Tuesday at 8. Again, we'll probably have a little more politics that night. We'll certainly do a Kentucky Derby recap to see how we did. And we'll talk about Wayno, see how he did. And we'll talk hockey. Huh? What?
I need to, like, update my final cut.
Okay.
I might have to kind of wing this.
You played it at the beginning.
Well, I usually go in the final cut to do this.
Okay.
Oh, got it.
All right. Are you ready?
I am.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Have a safe, happy, and healthy Labor Day weekend. Can't even believe it's Labor Day. Like you're so like this is supposed to be the start of college football. Like it doesn't even.
Normally
obviously,
we wouldn't have school Monday either, but we do.
Oh, like you have any classes on Monday?
I don't.
So
I don't.
So you'll be on the golf course.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I will be social distancing, I'm sure.
I'll be hitting the ball in the hole.
Yes.
Now.
Yes. I'll be social distancing.
That sounds like fun.
Yes. All right. Give our love to Kiki. See ya. Bye-bye.